I'm here with Francisco Melo from Avery Dennison. Welcome to NRF.
Thank you, Aditya.
This is Aditya Khurjekar from MEDICI Studio, and we are going to conduct a series of interviews to show thought leadership at the intersection of retail and fintech. So Francisco, let me ask you, what is top of mind for you right now as you come to NRF and look at this big show?
I think it's the evolution on how technology is transforming retail, Aditya. I think we've seen a lot of evolvement from the standard bricks and mortar into this concept of omni-channel. And I think what we're seeing at Avery Dennison and what we're seeing by engagements with our customers is that the evolution of taking the store from the traditional retail sense into the virtual space, which is the omni-channel piece, and now we see a trend of into the home. So how can you help the consumer when he or she wants something, be able to have that? And I think that's a big trend, and it's certainly something that's top of mind.
Right. Now, omni-channel means a lot of different things to different people.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I've always wondered is, when are we finally going to make the home the place where people shop? We are beginning to see it, but can you give us some examples of how technology is helping you to bring the storefront into consumers' homes?
Happy to do so. So if you think about, we at Avery Dennison, we've been exploring this concept of digital labeling or intelligent labeling, if you'd like, to create the possibility of having items which are physical items to have their own digital identity. We've been doing so mostly for the most part for optimization of supply chain and optimization of inventory in store, what you have and what you haven't. We now believe that the trend and what we're seeing, to your point, is if you can take that digital identity and take it and make it easier and accessible to the consumer in the home, then you can think through ways and means of having a product, quote unquote, talk to a consumer through the phone to say, hey, you've opened me 3 months ago, I have a 3 months shelf life, do you want to reorder me? Do you want to have something else? Do you want to know more information about my product? So we believe this concept of digital labeling is actually enabling a whole new breadth of retail, which actually takes it into the home. So very exciting times ahead.
Are there any particular technologies, and we have all looked at RFID and IoT and Bluetooth beacons, and sometimes all of these technologies, they seem to blur and they come and go. Is there one or two specific areas in the enabling technology space that is very relevant for you right now?
Absolutely. So today, the way we've been seeing the evolution of the technology has been the merge of elements that can be easy for the consumer to access. So typically call it the QR barcode, and you link that number on the QR code to the RFID item. So you gain the whole history about the product, which typically gives the consumer transparency, right, origin, and so on and so forth. Now what we see now is the linkage also to NFC. So if you go into, say, payments purposes, NFC obviously is a secure technology, and we see that can also become a good technology to interface. And we're actually looking into specific developments in this space, and I'm happy to tell you more if you think it's of interest, around extremely low cost NFC. How can you enable that for everyday products? And then really the other thing we're also showcasing here at NRF 2020 is a partnership we have with Wiliot, which is a new startup that has a passive Bluetooth solution. So imagine, so NFC is great, but you actually have the consumer needs to tap a product, so it needs to have an action. With passive Bluetooth, we believe you're going to create a product that, a solution that a product can talk to the consumer and tell him or her something about the product that's relevant, as I said, the shelf life, in a totally seamless way. So you don't have to tap the product, you don't have to do anything. What you do is when you buy that product, you sign up for that capability, and therefore you open up that dialogue between the brand through the product to the consumer in the home.
Now, do you feel like the beacon Bluetooth technology has matured enough? Because we saw a big wave of activity maybe a few years ago in that space, and then there was a lull. And now I'm hearing from you again. So are you feeling like there is a comeback? Are you feeling like there is something that has happened recently that gives you more confidence for the Bluetooth beacon space?
It's a good question. I think it's a different paradigm, right? So one thing is about having beacons, say, in stores, which allow you to guide consumers into specific areas of the store. It requires he or she to actually, accept that and do a number of things and so on and so forth. Here it's a whole different ballgame. It's you take the beacon capability into the product, a product which is relevant and important to me as a consumer. So we believe that will certainly unlock new possibilities that were not possible before. So
Right.
I'm talking about a product which goes on a label, it's got no battery, it harvests energy from the air, and it basically broadcasts whatever relevant information about the product, including am I still full or not, how long have I been open, or any other temperature or relevant information about the product.
Thank you. And let's go back now to what you mentioned earlier about identity, right? So clearly with a secure technology like NFC, you are able to do more things with more confidence and security. And when I hear NFC and identity, I can't not think of payments.
Sure.
So can you share with us any maturity or any developments on the access to the NFC stack that you might be getting from the operating system companies, or any new interest in bringing this together so that the consumer truly has a seamless purchase experience now that you have more open NFC, you have more mature understanding of what Bluetooth can and cannot do for you, and understanding of the identity piece here, which is also important for secure payments. So can you give us a sense of what we should expect in this confluence of identity, security, commerce, payments?
Sure. If you think through the lens of what we talked about, we said, how do you take the store into the home? If you go back to the store, because stores aren't going away, right? There's a lot of fear about, store. No, online is growing, but the store continues to be, by and large, the vast majority of retail, number one. Number two, a unique point of interaction and connection with the consumer, what we call consumer encounters, if you'd like. So what we're seeing is the element of convenience. So how can I provide somebody the experience I have online, which I do and search what I want, when I want it, I buy and request things and the information I want now. How do you take that into the retail space and create the retail space a whole new experience? So we're seeing a number of trends within that. So both within being able to say, browse product information in the physical space, whereby you basically grab an item and the shelf knows that the item has been grabbed and therefore displays specific information about the product in a similar manner to what you would have in the online world, so to speak. We're also seeing trends on consumers just wanting to go in, grab a couple of things. I don't want to queue on the line to pay. I want to, check myself out and walk out. So there we're seeing really two trends. Number one, how we're converging RFID, which we use for supply chain monitoring, linked to, say, QR codes, and those allow me to buy a product through an app, say, and I pay whichever means, and then when I walk out, the system, the traditional electronic theft system, knows that this RFID item has actually been purchased, therefore does not trigger an alarm. So just just for you to have a perspective of the whole connectivity within the retail space. The other evolution is obviously NFC, right? So if you link in the NFC point to the same product, then you can trigger exactly the same thing in a slightly more seamless experience. You don't need to have your camera or whatever, you just tap, it opens up the thing, you just say, yes, I want to buy this, and so on and so forth, and it becomes a more seamless experience. So the self-checkout element that we're actually showcasing here at NRF as well, at the Avery Dennison booth, in a partnership with MEDICI, which is a startup in this space, it's actually, let's say, paving the way through that vision where convenience and information available in retail becomes far and pervasive and available everywhere to anyone, merging this line between the physical and the digital space.
This is great, and thanks for sharing that in a detailed way. It looks like things are coming together. A last question for you here.
Sure.
So I have known obviously your brand now since I was 10 years old. And the brand has evolved and the company means different things to different people. As you look at where you are today, and if you were to take a crystal ball view of 10 years from now, how would you like the ecosystem to appreciate Avery Dennison as a company today and going forward?
It's a great question. I'll probably provide you a bit of a personal perspective versus a corporate perspective, but certainly Avery Dennison is seen as the, let's say, the element of, it provides identification to everyday products, right? So for those of you watching us, most likely your shampoo bottle or your bottle of beer or spirits or wine has labels from Avery Dennison. The material, as we are at heart, we are a material science company. Now, the evolution of identification as the evolution of the world, it's becoming less physical and becoming far more digital. So what we're doing in the Intelligent Labeling division, Intelligent Labels division that I manage, is exactly that transformation. How do I transition from something which has been read by somebody or a system by means of an action into something that happens without people having to do something? So that evolution, it's something that I believe will take the company forward into becoming not just somebody that owns and manages and leads physical identification of products through traditional labeling technologies, but does so in the digital realm as well.
Right.
And more important, serves as the connector between the physical and the digital space. That's really what I think we sit. We're in a unique position because we supply those materials for packaging labels and everything else that help you see and understand what that product is.
Right.
We want to do that same thing digitally. So that's the evolution we're on.
Wonderful. Francisco, thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for your
Aditya.
time. I appreciate you taking the time.
Have a good show as well.
Thank you so much. What we just heard here was a very unique perspective from a brand that has been there, done that for a long time, and I have no doubt that we will hear much more from Avery Dennison and from Francisco in the coming days, weeks, months, and we will continue to cover this wonderful confluence of commerce and technology and mobile and payments as retail experiences come to the home, come to the phone, and that seamlessness that we talked about is becoming very important and very possible. So with that, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right.